Right then, here we go. Your Uncle Baldermort here, and this is the brand new Space Marine Codex. So obviously this is August 2019, and I am looking forward to this intensely. I have been for a little while. Space Marines haven't been doing so great, and that's not necessarily in everything. Their figures are absolutely magnificent, of course. Always have been, always will be. I know people don't like the older ones necessarily, because new ones are so much better, but they are really good. Finally, true scale Marines. Wowzers! So here we go. Starting up the unboxing. My very first. So if the camera angle is not perfect, my apologies. Obviously something I'll have to work on. Let's have a look at this bad boy, shall we? Okay, well that's not going to work. Let's just do the old-fashioned way. Okay. Oh yeah. Now, there are 1,000,001 sites out there who will actually be showing you, say all the stats of the things, how this works competitively, how it makes it better, blah 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 blah. Me? Yeah, I know most of those things already because some people get pre-releases from Games Workshop. Good Skills Game Workshop. Let's be absolutely honest. About 5-6 years ago, they were absolutely ignoring the entire community and pretty much just bunkering. Now they've come out, they're actually listening to people, they're talking to people, and they're interacting with them, which is just great. Whether they give everyone what they want, well, you can't get everyone what they want, and no matter what happens, if someone has X, then everyone will want it, but even if they have Y. So, it's a tough job they do, never forget that. You can never please all of the people all of the time. But let's just hope that they're going to please Space Marine players now. Right. As stated, I'm going to be looking more at the actual fluff than anything else. And look at that. Fantastic art straight off the bat. Oh, I think this plant comes from Vigilis. I didn't get that myself. It's mainly I'm predominantly a Blood Angels player, as along with Eldar, Nids and others. But yeah, here we go. Space Marines, the Adeptus Astartes. Yay! Alright, standard introduction. Ooh, welcome, formidable warrior of the Adeptus Astartes. You hold in your hands a tome, detailing the history, organizations, heraldry, and martial prowess of the Emperor's Space Marines. This book will aid you in transforming your collection of Citadel miniatures into a swift and brutal, decisive strike force of the Adeptus Astartes. Wow. Sections are the Emperor's Finest, next Insignium Astartes, Defenders of Mankind, and Legacies of the Primarchs, or Legacy of the Primarchs even. Let's have a look. Now, this really does show a bit of a groundswell change for Games Workshop. This is going to be a base codex. Then after that, what they're going to do is they're going to strap on individual, mini codexes for individual groups. Now there are 6 different legions, that will be explained another time, which are involved in this book, because Blood Angels, Dark Angels and the Space Wolves have their own individual book, but they say that a lot of these figures can be used from this one for them as well, but not all of them. So that's going to be different because they don't generally do, or haven't historically done, a great deal for anyone outside the Ultramarines, these guys with the Omega sign in blue. Wow. Okay. Right then. Standard bunk as far as I can see. The Emperor's Finest. 1,000 chapters. Some of the new art, which has only been out in the last couple of years. They do like their stock art, because it's pretty good actually. But this only came out about 3 years ago, I think, with the actual. Ooh, could be older. Standard stuff. The Space Marines do not fight the conventional armed forces. They are cool, but we'll go through the lore sector for that. Ancient Origins, Reclaiming the Galaxy, The Great Betrayal, Scouring, Codex Astartes, written by Gellerman. You don't often see that, although that's been bombing around since the 90s. You don't often actually see that list there. And as always, the 2nd and the 11th are left out. They're the mystery ones in the entire 20 legions. They will never be revealed who they are. Good. So who's loyalist? Goodies. And who's baddies? Who are excommunicata, traitores. Kicked out of the Inn Club for being very, very bad. Making of a Space Marine. Space Marine organs. Again, I'm going to do a lore video on all of that. It's actually really fun and interesting. The Dark... Oh, here we go. Tools of War. Standard stuff again, but the artwork's just a little bit better every 4 or 5 years. Force staves, power swords, chain swords, ubiquitous chain sword, power fists, one of my favourites to be honest. The bolt rifle, the bolt gun. Well, doesn't it look diddy next to the bolt rifle? These are the new guns I only brought out a couple of years ago. Plasma incinerator, assault bolter, all new. Combi plasma, old. Bolt pistol, old. Storm bolter, old. Okay. Thunderhammer. Oh, you'll get to love those. Right then, in memoriam. Right, finally. Now again, I've not read every single codex, but I've read about 4. They don't usually go into this much detail. You've got the aspirant, how someone becomes, or aspires to becoming a Space Marine. What happens when you're in the 10th company? The 9th company. 8th company, reserve battle line companies, battle companies and first company. So that actually shows you the organisation of every 1,000-man chapter of Space Marines. That's going to be great. I'm going to go into a lot more detail of that one day, but for the moment I'm just really excited to actually turn this off and start reading properly. But let's do this quick opening thing. First time I've ever done it. Oh, this is good. Look at that. Nerd is as nerd does, and this is pure, refined, 100% nerd. Oh. Shows you... Sorry. Apologies everyone, got a bit of a cold. Okay, so you've got the 4 battle companies. They're the ones that would usually be sent out directly and on their own to wage war. Each 100-man company is basically a mini army unto itself, as you know, the entire 1,000 men is a mini army unto itself. Doesn't sound like many, but imagine Captain America on steroids with a really, really bad attitude and the kind of weaponry that would make Star Wars characters wince. Lightsaber, very, very nice. I'd rather have a chainsaw to a certain extent just for the cutting, but there you go. Also, it just looks intimidating. Okay, also these different colours, these help you actually paint your models correctly, or well, not correctly, according to the Codex Astartes. So that's nice. That's a nice touch. I really like that. Okay, companies of the chapter. They go into a lot more detail of them. Terminator strike forces. Terminator's worth a video all unto themselves. They're just magnificent. Again, it's not just the toys, it's the background. I mean, people wouldn't be even slightly interested in the toys. I mean, they are fantastic figures, but without this fluff, this background behind them, it wouldn't have the kind of staying power that it does in people's minds. It wouldn't capture the soul like it does. Yeah, you can say that's rather dramatic, but unfortunately if people spend hours and hours and hours playing a game and do it for, say, 20, 30 years, capturing the soul is, capturing the imagination, capturing the soul is definitely the right term. Look at this. Chapter Headquarters, Chapter Armory, Scouts, Vanguard Forces. Never keen on Vanguard Forces, to be totally honest. 30 years ago when it all started with Rogue Trader. The Deptus Astartes didn't sneak around. They painted themselves in bright armour because the Emperor wanted the bad guys, the enemies, the Xenos, the alien scum, to see the Space Marines coming and to know fear. It was more of a terror tactic than it was anything else. Just And okay, things move on, but they've got sneaky Marines now, like Raven Guard, etc., which have slowly moved in and then made normal in the actual lore. I don't agree with it, but either way, who cares? My opinion counts for very little at Games Workshop, but even then, why not have something for everyone? If someone wants to play a sneaky boy, as they call it these days, then let them. Not my kettle of fish. I want the enemy to see me coming and know I will destroy them. Well, I'm playing Space Marines. Right, now this is a page. I'm not going to read it all now. I'd love to, but don't think we've got enough time. I don't want this video to be too long, but this is really interesting for me. This is the Ultima Founding. These are the new Space Marines, the Primaris. It goes through the Awoken. These are the ones I would imagine that were in asleep for 10,000 years. Whether you agree or disagree with the background, etc., it's interesting stuff. The Indoctrinated. Oh dear. These are the ones who were brought along to add to the existing chapters who are out there, who are basically taking an absolute panning. So it's to reinforce the entire lines. And the Ascended, one would hope this is what a lot of people call online the Rubicon Primaris, changing from a standard Adeptus Astartes into a Primaris Astartes, or an Adeptus Primaris, I don't know really what you call them, but a Primaris Space Marine. I'm looking forward very much into going into that, and when I've read all of this, etc., I'll do a lore movie just on the changeovers and what's going on, when I've got the rest of the stuff up and running, obviously. Oh, that's good. Look at it. It's fantastic. Okay, Ultramarines, the Blue Boys, the Mary Sues of the entire dimension, the Perfect Warriors. But I've got my own take on that, and I'm going to make a rather contentious video on that. But either way, the Ultramarines, they're the poster boys of Games Workshop, but haven't always been. Just so people know that they are now. They have been for quite some time. But they haven't always been the ones who were on the front cover. That was previously the Crimson Fists. One particular writer loved them, but I'll explain why they were put on such a pedestal, I believe. Yeah, another video. Oh, look at that. See, those colours we previously had in the first company, etc., around the boxes, all there, showing you what trim you can put on which of your different Space Marines, for what reason. These are the different jobs that they have, etc., and ranks. Here, different jobs over here. Battle line, veteran, close support, fire support, and command. Now that's just awesome. So, I mean, you often get questions of, oh, what colour shall I paint X, Y, or Z, and what symbols do I put on? All in here now. I know they have been previously, but I'm really impressed with this book so far. Successor Chapters, again, a topic for another day. But Successor Chapters are basically of the same genetic makeup as, say, the Ultramarines, but they weren't allowed to stay in their 100,000 to 200,000 strong forces. They had to break up into 1,000-men armies called chapters. Why they did that was because Gulliman, their leader, their lord, their primarch, wrote a book called the Codex Astartes, mentioned earlier, which basically said too much power cannot be in one person's hands. So breaking up the individual chapters means that any 1,000 Space Marines you've got to get to and corrupt or bribe or blackmail, whatever, somehow get under the skin of 1,000 men to convert Space Marines, entirely, instead of just one or two. Previously, one Primarch would be in charge of 100,000 Space Marines. So when 9 of them went bad, that was a lot of Space Marines. Not exactly 900,000, but again, nuances for another day. Either way, it was to stop so much corruption happening by making sure that one person wasn't in charge of too many men. And look at the artwork here. That's pretty good. I mean, that's nice. That is nice. Okay, here we go. The Imperial Fists. Very big fan of the Imperial Fists. Strong, tough, stoic, defender types. Sons of Dawn. Okay. Yellow. Never keen on yellow myself, but by God does the enemy see you coming wearing that. Oh yeah, tough colour to paint with, to be honest, as well, which is another reason I've always dodged it. But, one of those things. Okay. Ooh, Successor Chapters. The Black Templars. The Crimson Fist. Now, these guys have real followings. Personally, I play a Crimson Fist army as well. Only started one up recently. But yeah, Hammers of Dawn, Subjugators, Invaders, and Sons of Phoenix, etc. So yeah, I mean, with the Ultramarines you saw there, you only had lots of these little ones. I mean, the Ultramarines themselves are just seen as so iconic. You don't usually play a Successor Chapter, whereas, say, the Black Templars had their own Codex for a very long time. I think it was about 15 years, etc. So a lot of people are getting a bit angry that they've been rolled into books like this and don't have their own chapter, but their entire book. But they're not that different to the others, really. It's just the way that they fight, not necessarily who they are, which makes them different. And that really comes down to your aggression on the board, I personally believe. But they're getting new rules, all of them, so that's great. White Scars. Very much like, they are basically rip-offs of or descriptively taken from the Khans, Genghis Khan. And usually all ride on bikes, or a lot of them ride on bikes. And just brilliant. Very, very swift lightning strikes. There we go. Look at this. They saved a little bit for further on, so each page isn't necessarily that basic or drab. So you've got all of the different leg markings you can do, but you can apply this to any one of the different chapters in this book. And not these colours, obviously, they're colours, but this kind of marking. And it tells you why they are. 10th company is very little, 1st company is this kind of marking. And that goes along with the shoulders. So, I mean, you can either paint just the shoulder pads, etc., if you do that even. But for someone who really is a painter as much as a player, this kind of stuff is gold. I mean, it's just brilliant. Look at that. Never seen that particularly before. Games Workshop are putting in a lot of effort. I don't feel that this is just a magazine to sell figures with anymore. Look at this. They've grown up. I know they've been doing it for a long time, but these are the Successor Chapters. But I think they're actually got people who really love the art now instead of just see it as a job. I mean, look at this. It's the little things that count. And that leg marking thing there, that is a little thing. Does it mean much? Well, to someone selling figures, no. To someone who loves the hobby, that's, again, as I say, that is gold. That's absolute gold. It's the level of attention. I mean, this is a book, a labour of love. Raven Guard. Now, these are the sneaky boys. All wearing black, hiding about the place, coming out of the darkness. No less brave than the others, but, well, yeah, they break the original ethos 30 years ago from rogue trader of the enemy seeing them coming. No, you don't see the Raven Guard coming until you've already got a bolt round through your head. There we go. Good stuff. And this shows you how you would put it really onto the shoulder pads if you do freehand, if you've got that kind of skill, patience and gumption, basically. Takes a lot of gumption to do freehand. You can get decals for a lot of this stuff, but just wow. This is their Successor Chapters, the Vilers, Knights of the Raven, Blackguard, Rift Stalkers, I've heard of them. Well, obviously I've heard of most of them, if not all of them. Necropolis Hawks, okay, that's a new one on me. But I'm not a huge fan of the Ravens. So there we go. Okay, Salamanders. Now, if there are any Space Marines who are actually goodies, which is really pushing the definition quite far, it's the Salamanders. Everybody else lives so far above and beyond and separated from humanity that they might as well be a different race, a race that protects humanity, almost like condescending parents or uncles, but the Salamanders live amongst people. I've got to read this a bit more thoroughly, see if that's still true, but I always like the Manders for that. They always remember their roots as humans. Just absolutely fantastic. Again, Yeah, there we go. An aggressor. They are. I really like those ones. It's not necessarily just because they do X or Y with stats. It's just, I just love the mobile platforms that they have. And that is a mobile platform. Great big guns, missiles, moving around a battlefield. Yeah, you could, just really good stuff. The Tome of Fire, the ultimate fate of the Primarch Vulcan is a matter of much conjecture. See, I love these little flavour pieces as well. They really get you into the world of the grimdark. But also sometimes they're hints of what they're going to bring out in the future. These little things here, these little flavour pieces, is how they've moved the story forward. But again, it's not a story, it's not a novel. People keep on saying, can we move the story forward? It's a campaign setting, it's a game setting. You move a game setting too far forward, you lose, or potentially lose out on what made it great in the first place. It's an excuse for using your troops. It's a glorious, glorious thing, but it's campaign setting, not a story. Okay, guys? Iron Hands. Always pretty much ignored before, until very recently. I think on 7th edition, or was it 6th, they had their own little codex. That was very nice. But say 80s and 90s, well, definitely 80s, 90s, and early noughties, if not more, Iron Hands didn't really get much of a say. But I mean, the Horus Heresy books, which have come out from Black Library, have been very popular, and have really brought more flesh out. So a lot of this kind of stuff has come from that, because people have read the books and gone, oh, actually, I don't like the Ultramarines, I like that one. That one's great. Can I hear more about that one? So here we go. And again, more flavour pieces and differences between them and the other Codex Astarte chapters. Eldrin marking. Look at this. Different clans, etc. They've got slightly different names to their companies. And to the first, second, etc. that is there, but they've got them individual names, like Clan Borgos, Clan Morlag, so Clan Dorvok. So it's all good, really good stuff. Look at that. Again, free-handing that would be a nightmare. So, but for the Panther out there, it's a good challenge. Successor Chapters again. Iron Lords, Red Hands, Brazen Claws. Yeah, we know them. Sons of Medusa. They've had a shady past at points, they really have. The Morai Schism, they actually had an internal war, all these guys. But again, I'll get to read that and see what their changes are. Sometimes even a paragraph of change shows you something different. Yeah, it's great that they've got more interest in them, but it's also moves the story on just a tiny bit. It's here that if they're going to bring out a Primarch in the next 2 years, that they'll let you know by hinting here. So really reading these gets you into the game, gets you into the background, gets you into the plot, but also can give you a hint at what's coming out. Because let's be honest, they do absolutely know what's coming. They don't just go into their garden and say, oh my god, we've had a load of hits on this, let's make a figure. They do it 2 or 3 years beforehand. They know what they've got coming out. This is how they hint. Of course, there's plenty of red herrings in there, so it's never certain. Alright, so that I really like that. I'm really, really looking forward to reading all of that. Okay, look here, we've got the... look like Samhan. Yeah, it is. Samhan. Craft World. Eldar. Basically Space Elves. Fight against Ultramarines. Pity both sides, to be honest. They shouldn't really be fighting each other, but what the heck. There's plenty of other things out there to fight. But the Eldar are so difficult to speak with. I think they rule the roost. They are the ultimate Ubermensch. And unfortunately, the Space Marines are xenophobic, racist madmen who kill everything that's not human, generally. Oh well, not to worry. Maybe I should concentrate on the other, the Orc, the Necron, and the Tyranid, but what the heck. At the end of the day, these pieces of art, all of this fluff, everyone being at war with each other means that any matchup on the table is legit. If you have to, I mean, there was a period where I was playing with a friend and we both had Space Marines, and the amount of times we had to call it war games or tactical breakdowns or you know, someone had insulted someone so far. I mean, it got really difficult to justify them to the stage that just goes, all right, we're just fighting. And that kind of loses something. Having a bit of a narrative around every battle kind of just makes it a little bit more fun. Also, as I'll explain another thing, disassociates you from your figures. My men, for this reason, are fighting your men for that reason. We can both laugh about what's going on. If I'm fighting you, then it makes it a bit tougher to see the fun side of it. If he starts rolling 6s on every save roll and you're doing nothing, it's very difficult not to get annoyed with the other player, even for a second. Whereas if, again, the Salamanders are fighting the Ultramarines or Tyranids or whatever else, then you can laugh about it. It's not so much, it's disassociating your army from you. And that allows you to have more fun, I personally believe. And generally works out when I persuade people to do it too in a narrative game. Really good break from one of the match play games or competitive level games, which again there's beauty in too. Command Squad Commanders. This is where they give you a full breakdown, a full background taste of why every figure is on the board, what they do. Librarians, you can see here, firing lightning. Wizards, basically they tap into an energy called the warp and fire out energy. That's absolutely amazing. Read minds, etc, etc. They're all psychics, basically. Legion. This is chaplains. The priests of the Space Marines. They weren't originally, but we'll go through. I'll do an entire thing on chaplains and how they changed over the time. Apothecaries. Oh dear. The medics, combat medics of the Space Marines, but again, go through all of that. Tech Marines, well, that's complicated. Definitely for a video. Battle line squads. Oh, look at that. See, this piece of art here harkens back to the original artwork from Rogue Trader, the very first Star Warhammer 40k book, and they've even got the poses correct on most of them. But the Primaris now, so are Astartes, and obviously the artwork's moved right on. It's almost a shame that's in the middle there like that. I hope I can probably get a poster of that if I fly it past the misses, of course. I need a den, but this is just beautiful. Yeah, I think they're in exactly the same position. I'll have to compare that in another video, just on its own. Just awesome. Again, this shows love. Someone somewhere has said, dudes, let's get an artist in to redo the original Rogue Trader picture, and everyone's gone, yeah, that's a great idea, let's do that. But someone thought about it in the first place. That's love, that's not marketing. Look at that. That's a sign that Games Workshop have employees who now love this background and setting, love the history of it, and it shows with every page I'm turning. Look at this. Oh, yeah. The Dark Founding, more information here, more flavour pieces here. If anything proves the limitless reach of the Adeptus Astartes and the Emperor through them, it is the Inceptors. They go fearlessly into the very void of space, endure the ravening fires of atmospheric re-entry, and still strike with such skill and precision that it is as though they just stepped from a transport tank into battle. How can any foe stand against such indomitable will as these? Uriel Ventris, captain of the Ultramarines 4th Company. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Close support squads, the different types. Assault squad Centurions, quite new by Warhammer standards. 4 years ago, maybe? 5 maximum. That's quite new. Bike scouts, bike squads, attack bikes, land speeders, yay! Little flying things. They are just fantastic. Great on the board too, as well. Actually, let's be honest, I'm such a fan. I love all the little figures in their own way. Fire support squads. That's not bad. I like that. I do. It's the difference between that is explanatory. Look, it shows you what happens. It's quite nice. That. You would not want to be on a planet when that guy walks out of the rubble, shooting at you with the flames in the background. That's Hollywood. That's more like the old style. So again, you've got a dip to the past, and you've got something very, very contemporary, very stylized, very cinematic. And yeah, both are Warhammer 40k down the line, absolutely. This is just great. Okay, fire support squads again. Oh, look at that. Yep, and again, you've got the same kind of thing. You'd see something more like that in the 80s, 90s. But again, not quite as good. I don't know why. I think people have got better at drawing. It's just maybe they've been given more time, more energy, more... well, maybe it's just that I prefer it more. Oops, sorry about that. Let me see if that's still clear. There it is. Woo-hoo. And the Centurion. Yeah. Now they've done it the other way around, really, actually. Now that's more stylized, and that's more like the old, just look at what we've got. This is more the, look at what they do. Look at what their lives are like. Yeah. I love this. I love this. Veteran squads. Yep. Killing Eldar again. What have they got against Eldar in this book? Alright, fair enough. And, yeah. Terminators. Terminators as far as the eye can see. Yep, I have to do a video on Terminators. Absolutely. Veteran squads, yeah. Vanguard veterans, Sternguard veterans, close combat veterans, long range veterans, Terminator squads, heaviest armour possible. Yeah, get thrown right into the thick of it. Go into caves and other such things, fighting people where it's going to be absolutely horrific. That's these guys, Terminators. But such an honour to wear the armour because of the crux Terminatus. But we'll go into that some other time. Combat walkers. Okay, that's a new way of putting it. Dreadnoughts, Redemptor Dreadnought, Venerable Dreadnought, Ironclad Dreadnought, Contemptor Dreadnought, Invictus Tactical Warsuits. New, that is new. I mean, that's quite new. They only came out this, was it last year, a couple of years ago? Yeah, which again, a couple of years ago sounds like a long time. It's really not. Victor Tactical Warsuits is new, so it gets a little bit more blub than everyone else, as it should do, I guess. STC technology is a big topic. A lot of people have done videos on it. I'd like to do it my own, just because it's my own style, but I don't think I'll be able to do it better than them, but maybe have slightly different information. But STC, Standard Template Construct, or Constructors. Always a bit of a misnomer, that, but yeah, that goes into the heavy lore, and we'll save that for another time. Oh, Scout Squads. The newbies, the rookies. Not given the full Space Marine power armor, only the top element here. Yeah, beautiful. Transports, Rhinos, Razorbacks, drop pods. How long we'll see them for, I don't know. I really hope they don't get rid of them, but I know that they will. It's going to be a sad day when they do. They need to sell more figures, and they need to get rid of the old stuff, because eBay, basically. It's too easy to pick up the old stuff for a song. You could probably start an army very, very cheaply. That's why, to be honest, it has to go. Also because the new Marines are actually the right size now. It was a bit embarrassing previously when the other Space Marine is supposed to be 8 foot, standing next to a normal dude of the Imperial Guard, and they're the same size. And that made no sense. But Warhammer fans are a funny old lot. Brilliant in many ways, weird in others. They don't like change much. So all of this I would expect in this next Space Marine Codex to go, depending on when that is. But here it is for the moment, and it's going to be a sad day when it does go, to be honest. This stuff's been around for 30 years. The stories have been written about them for 30 years. There's so much out there about them. It's absolutely awesome. But again, we'll cover those in videos. Vehicle markings, explaining how you... Oh, look at this. It's great. Going through each one of the different tanks. Oh, it could be for the last time. No, poor Predator. Oh, well. Alright. Gravitic battle tanks. The new ones. They float now. Which is very cool in some regards. A lot of people don't like it. I personally love it. I don't like the way it's changing the background so much, or changing the way things are. But as someone put up on one line once, the Grimdark was terribly grim because things weren't in real life. when things get grimmer in real life, things in the grimdark have to get slightly lighter. Personally, I don't agree, but as in not that things aren't grimmer, but does the grimdark have to get lighter because of that? I don't know. I have no idea. But they're definitely making it slightly less visceral, making it a little bit easier and a bit more easy for the kids to get into, I guess. Even though I had no problem with the grimdark when I got into it. Oh, and I was a nipper. Alright, Land Raiders, beautiful, 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 beautiful. Storm Raven gunships. They only started using flyers and things that, basically aircraft. Look at that brick with wings. It's funny. But very, very grimdark, very, very Space Marines. Frumpy, square, boxy. Good stuff again. Alright. Now here we go. The brochure paths. But there's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, it's part of the entire experience. What would be the point of a codex without pictures of the actual models? No point at all. Primaris Captain with power sword and mastercrafted stalk bolter. Primaris, these guys are all new, obviously. Primaris Librarian painted in a really nice yellow. Some say people, 5% of the population can't stand the colour yellow. I'm one of them. But even so, it's not that bad. Who knows? With our advertising and so many pseudo-scientific researches going on, you never can tell if anything's just rubbish or if it's actually based in science. But look at this. The new kangaroo cannons. Can't remember what they're called. But yeah, nicely done. Wow, new chaos figures. Absolutely beautiful. Infiltrator sergeants, infiltrators and incursors. They're very new, incursors. Very similar stuff. And again, Games Workshop have a great way of making something that is basically the same, changing it just that tiny little bit, giving it different stats or a slightly different weapon, and of course then giving it a different paint job. It looks like a completely different model. That people say, oh, that's cheap, etc. It's not. I think it's brilliant. It's genius. And it allows you to almost, if you've got like too many of one unit, you just dunk half of them and then repaint them with this different insignia, etc. Now again, some of them are very, very specific. Obviously you couldn't replace that with, say, an infiltrator, but an infiltrator to an incursor, they're not that different. Bit of paint, etc., and you could get away with it. I'm not suggesting you do, but you could. So I think it's a really nice way of doing things. It means you get one box, you make sometimes, or you used to be able to, I'm hoping they move back to that, one box and you can make different builds out of it. Now, the old Space Marines, the Adeptus Astartes, tactical squads. If you had never seen a Space Marine before, you'd never seen any of them, you would know that, say, these are not quite as good as the other ones because they're bigger and all the rest of it. But just by their pictures, look at that. Some of these models are 10, 15 years old, and they still look great. In quality, are these ones so much better than them? I don't think so. They're just larger and they're better and they're bigger on the board. But are they better moulds? Are they better artistry? I'm not so certain. But either way, are they both legit? Are they both brilliantly? Of course they are. They're just magnificent. If you don't think so, stop the video and get out of here, because you're going to hear a lot of this all the way through my entire YouTubing stuff. I'm a big fan, a fanboy, as they say, but you've got to respect someone, a company that's going to put in this much effort. And this book is a labour of love. Look at this. Previously, again, a lot of their Marines are painted up blue for Ultramarines. It's a great colour scheme, etc. But look, they're actually including armies of white Imperial Fists, White Scars, Raven Guard. Just looks great. Manders, the Salamanders, look at them, bad boys there. And the aggressors, etc. So you can see that these pictures they're not to intimidate you, saying, look, you're going to repaint that. Well, it's supposed to be inspirational and aspirational. Look what your army could look like if you put in the time. You need half the figures if you painted them up that well. Because when you've painted them up that well, you want to play with them. Just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, this is brand new. I don't have any yet. It's not even available to buy yet. What a great way to introduce it to the entire community in a codex. Impulsor with heavy Iron Hail, heavy stubber, storm bolters, and Iron Hail sky talon array. I presume that's that. Storm bolters, Iron Hail, and this is the new repulsor. I've got one of these. They're fantastic. Bit of a bitch to put together, I found, but they're gonna. I've not built that many tanks myself. I'm more of an infantry and troops kind of guy. But look at that. You see, any scheme you put together, if you've got enough of them on the board, painted up well, no matter if it's black, blue, red, yellow, they just look great as an army. I think blue is the optimal because you can see all the detail, but it's not too bright. It's not too contentious blue. Everyone likes blue, or tolerates it, you know. Yeah, see, here we go again. All the different troops. I mean, these are hell blasters, painted in different colours. You've got a Stern Guard here, Centurions, White Scar Reaver. They've really gone out of their way. And hats off to some of the painting crew up at Games Workshop. I mean, look at that. It's just magnificent, isn't it? Right. Strike Force Acheron. See, this shows you what an army could look like. And again, you don't need an army half this size to actually play. I won't calculate the points, but I'd probably guess just at first sight that's $2 grand. Don't need that much to play, but it just shows you how when you put them together, you get all these individual units, you start painting them, you put them all together, they just look great. Look at that, that looks like an army. You wouldn't mess with that lot. Oh yeah. Okay, hard rules section. No, I'm not going to go through hard rules like some other people have. There are so many better sites out there who are into competitive play, who are into all of the numbers. We'll drill right down into them. It's not that I don't want to, it's just it takes a lot of time and it's not really what I'm here about. You want to go to one of their sites, again, they really duff this bit, they'll forget the other bit to a certain extent. Not being mean about it, it's just that this is what they want, this is what they want to talk about. So I'm just saying that they do it better and with a lot more enthusiasm than I would. All I would say is that they seem to have put in a lot of effort into making Space Marines great again. Make Space Marines great again. And it, just from flicking through some of these things, obviously I know some of it because of the rumours that came out online. And obviously I want to drill down into that when I'm looking at it. Not necessarily to try and create killer combos as other people would, just so I can see what's going on with it. Just so I can advise other people down my own club as well. A lot of people ask me about rules. It's not because I've got a eidetic memory, it's just that I love this stuff. So, and I try to help my friends out by knowing their rules as well. Not better than them, not to win against them, just so that if they do ask me questions, because there are a lot of newbies, and I am the grandfather of the club, not the leader, just Uncle Baldermort. And Uncle Baldermort does training games with newbies, and Uncle Baldermort basically answers a lot of questions. Also, I haven't met an army, no, there is one army I don't love. With the exception of one army in all of Warhammer 40k, I love them all. I think they're great. I think there's always something to love about them, and something that is fantastic. So it's very easy for me to talk to anyone about their army with the same level of enthusiasm as them. I think they're all just magnificent. There is one army only, but let's not discuss them now. And the hard stats. Oh, straight off the bat, there we go. Wounds going up for Gravis armour. Now all of this can look daunting at start, but when you get used to it, again, you don't need to remember everything. If you've got one of them and one of them, well, you've got the book, you can always read it. But after you've played about 5 or 6 times, you'll know which ones it is. And again, you might just have Captain in Gravis Armour when you start. You don't need to know all about this. Just know you're Captain in Gravis Armour. Don't stress out about it. A lot of people try to remember absolutely everything. What's the point? You got a book. That's what it's there. No one's going to burn it. It's not Fahrenheit. So just don't worry so much. Okay, captains, the order one. Cataphract armour, captain on bike. Glad they kept that in, that's always nice. Lieutenants, yeah, that's quite new. And again, only since 87, I believe. 2017. Primaris lieutenants, librarians, lieutenants in Phobos armour, they're quite new. Came out with one of the box sets, that's how they reveal a lot of new stuff. But again, I mean, if you've only got the new box, you only need to really worry about that one. And then a couple of other, only about 5 or 6 units, that's it. You don't need to worry about the rest of it. And then you can read it, and then you can, alright, I really like the look of that one from statistics. I really like the look of the model, and I'll go and get one. When you've got it, and you're playing with it, then worry about remembering the rules. But even so, again, you've got a book. Just carry your book with you at all times that you are playing. That's all you have to do. Nice and relaxed. Chaplains with their new litanies. Okay, but that's a nuance of gaming I don't want to get into right now. Again, other people do that so much better than I would. Yeah, nice bits of artwork. And see, they've still got fantastical little tactical units, tactical squads. Putting them next to each other, would you be able to actually tell, if you didn't know beforehand, that they are 20 years old and they are 2 years old? As models, as designs? I don't think so. It's going to be a shame when they go, because they have to. They do have to. There's too much out on eBay. These are the new ones. Their molds, which are very expensive actually, will eventually break. And when they do, it'll just be these guys. And that's going to be a sad time for me and others, I think. But I'll always have mine. I'm not going to burn them, sell them, or break them, or put them away anywhere. They'll always be there. The morning. Preemptive morning. Right. Violent aggression alone is not enough to win a war. Violence must be accompanied by intelligence, as aggression must be tempered by purpose. There is no blow as ultimate, destructive, as that which is ultimately considered. Caven, Shrike of the Raven Guard. These little bits are just phenomenal. Yeah, Space Marines, absolute mad space Nazis. And no, don't get offended. They are xenophobic nutters. They are Nazis, but it's part of the fun of the game. Even the good guys are the bad guys. So just enjoy it. Oh, look at these guys. Yep, Primaris Apothecary, Scout Squads. Look at all the stuff you can get on a Scout Squad. Again, it's going to be a sad time when they go, but look at the jawlines on some of these guys. It's mental. It's like Tango and Cash. Yep, more fluff pieces. Okay, so we're going through all of that now. I'll read the book and all of its differences. Oh, no extra word. God damn it. Okay, again, sorry, this is the first time I've seen it, so obviously I'm looking out for differences. As soon as the camera's off, I'll be reading this for the next 2 days, cover to cover, poring over it. Cataphract 8 Terminator Squads, I mean, that's the oldest armour, Cataphract. It's absolutely fantastic. And that's it, you can look at any model and you know the history of it. You can find out the history of it if you don't know it originally. There's just so many ways you can immerse yourself in Warhammer 40, and this is one army, well, one codex. You could spend 5 years reading solidly and you would probably only get through a couple of armies with all of their background and everything to do with them, all their literature. It's just so deep, so rich, so tasty. Yeah, you might need to take breaks every now and again from their novels, but not from the world. And there's computer games as well, you can always play them, just in case you need your hit and are very far away from your local club or not very well, you can always play on the computer. Reaver slips, Reavers, they've got a bit more chunk to them, a little bit more on the rules side explanations. aggressor squads. I love the Teletubbies, I call them, because they fire again. Oops, show my age there. As a parent, not as an avid watcher of Teletubbies, but I just love the look of them. A lot of people, it's not for everyone, but 2 power fists instead of 1. Whoa, that'll do me. I just see them smashing through walls and bulkheads and killing everything inside. In the name of the Emperor, of course. Centurion Assault Armour, one of the most controversial sets, toys that they ever brought out. The Centurion Assault Armour. Little bikes. It's going to be a shame when they go as well, because they will, but fun. Very Judge Dredd-esque, of course. But it would be. It's English. It came out in the 80s, and 2000 AD was strong then. I'm not sure it is now or not. I haven't read it in years, but yeah, good stuff. Inceptor squads, again, on their own. Yeah, they look good. Put them in a group of 3 or 3 groups of 3, and they look spanking. Suppressors. That's what the kangaroo cannons are called. Suppressors. Haven't got any of these yet. Looking forward to getting some eventually. I'm not that big a fan of the actual model itself. I see its beauty, but it's not for me. The feet are a little bit too big, the jetpack a little bit too small. Now look at these guys. Huge jetpacks. These less so. I don't know, it just throws off the line for me. Big guns, etc. Also, you know, are they going to bounce back 20 foot when they're firing? Who knows? I may fall in love with them though when I have some of my own, because as a collector as well, much as a player and an avid fan of the lore, I will inexorably own some at some point, probably sooner than later. Land speeders, they're great. Spike bout, scout, put my teeth back in. Scout bike squad, attack bike squad, all good. There we go. The Centurion. Now, when they came out, I mean, Primaris later on have, as a range, have been very controversial. But Centurions, when they first came out, they were so Marmite. Love them or hate them. Yeah, and everyone either loved them or hated them. There were so few people who went, meh, or yeah, they're okay. Yeah, they're the Marmite of the previously, before Primaris, of the entire Warhammer range. I hated them at start, then I loved them, then I hated them, then I loved them, and I think I like them now. I've gone from okay, but you can care a lot less about that one figure now that the Primaris around. They're so controversial in their own way. Yesterday's news, as they call it. I do like the look of these. I don't like the fact you can only get 3, because I like to work in 5s and 10s. I don't know, it's always been the way. I'm perhaps getting a little too old to change too much. 3's fine. It's, you know, it's just, I want 5. I want to have 5. Also, when I'm making up companies and other such things, when I make a narrative battle army, I like to have the full 10. Well, now you can say, oh, you can just get 3 sets of 3. What about the last guy? What about the last one? I can't have 10. Damn you, Games Workshop, for initiating my OCD. So I have to get some when they've changed it, so you can do that. Again, inexorably, I will buy some. Hellblasters, meat and 2 veg, absolutely fine. They're the 2 veg. Meat somewhere else. I just love these guys. They're just great. Are they the be-all and end-all? Certainly not. But are they good? Yes, they are. Do what they look like they do? Yes, they do. They charge in and they've got mildly big guns that don't kill everything, but do mildly well. Sturdy. Difficult to wipe off the board as well. Thunderfire cannon. My friend's got one. Blew the hell out of me with it. Never forgave him. Or the Thunderfire cannon. And Tech Marines, not keen on them. Adeptus Mechanicus, traitors and infiltrators. But there you go. Obviously, if you are an Inquisitor, you did not hear that. Ooh, look, Adeptus Mechanicus. Lovely. Hunters. Yeah. And these are just the stats to all of those things which were described before. The Vindicator, the Land Raider, the Predator, the Whirlwind. Again, I'm sorry you're going to go. It's going to be terrible. But for the moment, let's enjoy them while they're here. Land Raider Crusader, I've got one. I've not painted it yet, in many years actually. I really got to sort that out. Oh, they're just great though. What a gun, son, damn. Who cares about the stats? Look at that, it just says pure death, killy, stab. Oh, yes it does. Land Raider Redeemer, good fun. Look at that, big flamers on the side. You can't argue with that. Personally, I really prefer it when they do that. I know they can't do it with all of it, but that's the stats. That's the thing. Anyone can then, a newbie can pick up a model and go, what the heck's this? Look for the picture instead of just the name, because you won't know what it's called. Unless, of course, you got it from the box. Yeah, right. Yeah, that was the obvious answer, but if you can't remember all of the names of these things, inceptors, intercessors, interlocutors, etc., etc., etc. Look, it looks like that. That's what the rules are. Yay! Come on, GW. Let's have them all like this, eh? That's just great. Right, Repulsor Executioner, the new big boy. Alright, so Repulsor, very fun. Meant to be a storm and drop your pods. This model and any unit embarked aboard it are exempt from the Tactical Reserves match play rule. Okay. That one line has utterly changed whether people are going to be using this entire figure or not. That line. It's a finicky community we work in. Everyone trying to get the absolute best and any advantage they can. Personally, I'll use a drop pod because I think it looks cool in a narrative game. In a hardcore match play game, no, I will not. I will go for what I really want to do as an army. But drop pods, yep. My problem is I don't like putting them together and I hate painting them. Otherwise I'd have about 3. To be honest, I'd rather borrow my mates who has painted them up. But do I like them? Love them. I just can't stand building the model. One of those things. Impulsors. The new thing. Come on, should have been a new picky here for that. There should have been. But not to worry. Games Workshop, we love you. We'll let you off. Yep. And look at that. He looks like a barking madman, as all Space Marines are. Never trust a fanatic. Of course, apart from this fanatic, of course, I'm totally different. Absolutely, yeah. Storm Raven gunship, some talons. Look at that. It's a gun with not even wings, just turbines. I love them. Yeah, they're just so much fun. Alright, now, Armory of the Space Marines. These are all your stats, etc. So you don't have to keep on flicking through the individual entries. If you're just looking up weaponry, you can just do this here. Also, it allows you to look through and find a gun that you think is going to be really good against an enemy. If you're looking at, say, a campaign game, whereas you know you've got to break down the walls, you might want to look for the gun. Plan out your battle, find the weaponry you need, and then find what it's attached to. Bit of an arse-about-face way of doing things, but sometimes when you're playing a narrative campaign, you get some real challenges up there, which can be every bit as strategically difficult and tactically difficult as a match play environment. So yeah, or competitive. So if you've got to break down that door within 2 rounds and get your men in and assassinate someone, you need the big gun to do it. So sometimes it's best to look at the guns. Personally, I don't prefer to do that, but I know people who do, and that's fine. But it does give you all of the stats, all the different weaponry here, making it a nice little reference at the end. Little reference, yeah, okay. Here we go, melee weapons. Yeah, there we go. All good. Wargear. And this is expanded. Orbital comms arrays new. Infiltrator comms arrays new. Haywire mines new. Grav shoots new. Grapple launchers new. This section's really increased recently. Obviously for this as well. Armorium Cherub. So weird. You could do an entire video on them on their own. Volkite Charger? I will have to find out what that is attached to. I'd imagine it's one of the new guys, but I've not seen the word Volkite in 40k. In 30k they had a lot more technology, and that's the kind of word that comes from there. There Look at this. And that's why eventually it's nice to get some scenery. It's just seeing to do pictures like this, but also seeing to have a battle like this. It's just, you get out of this hobby what you put in. If you put in hours and hours and hours when you're on your own of painting, people say, oh, it's a bit lonely, what's the point? This is the point. You go down to a gaming group, your local club, or even just Games Workshop and pick up a game, and you look like a god. You feel fantastic. And it's so much of a joy to play an army that is fully painted. It's absolutely spectacular. My ability to paint is pretty bad. I'm not very good at it. But you can watch so many videos, you just need patience and to do it. Could I do a Picasso? God, no. Could I do something like that? Eventually, not the same, but close to, yes, I could. They got lots of different techniques, lots of videos online that can help you as well. All you need to do is say, I want that, and I will dedicate the time and patience necessary to do it. You won't get it exactly the same, but you can get it close. You can get it close by using all of their quick and easy ways of doing things. Now, quick and easy goes from 50 hours down to 10, but even so, you may say 10 hours, that's a long time, but then for the rest of your playing life, which could be the rest of your life, you then have this magnificent toys, your soldiers, your army, and it's just awesome stuff. Okay, chapter tactics. Again, other sites will go through these much better than I ever would, so I'm going to leave you to them if necessary. We're here just to really enjoy the book and get some initial impressions. Obviously, I will be mentioning all of these different things when I do the individual chapters, etc. So I'm not going to go through them now. And obviously, we've also been going on for quite some time. But just know that, look, each one of them has individual powers, individual abilities, and that's what makes it really great. A Black Templar does not fight in the same way as a Salamander or an Ultramarine. The devil is in the detail. The nuances make the difference. And these things have come in recently, but this level of difference has made it really, really nice. You can have 5 different armies of Space Marines, and they can all fight effectively in a similar but different way. And it's those differences that can mean victory or defeat. But remember, better to play as your favourite chapter and die on your feet than repaint and live on your knees and just follow the stats. Stand, my fans. Don't worry, whoever you are, your time will come. Successor Chapter Tactics. Now this page alone shows you that they have listened to the fans. This is a completely different Games Workshop we're talking about. I know a little bit of the content of this, not much of it. This is going to be the most poured over pages of the book. This allows you to make up your own chapter, your own powers for your Space Marines. So you don't have to have, say, Imperial Fists or Ultramarines. You can make up your own one. You can pick your own colour scheme. You could even use someone else's, but then after that, just tiny differences. But you can make your own bonuses to make a completely unique army to you. This page here is a sign of the golden age of Games Workshop interaction and listening and games development. This here means they do actually care. We are not just walking wallets, unless of course they're really using the Jedi mind trick on me right now, which is possible. But this means they actually care what we want to do. As players, what we want. They have listened. This is them saying, we're sorry we ignored you for so many years. Look, we've listened. You can make up your own army, your own colour scheme. You can put in whatever units you like, and you can give them their own powers. Well done, Games Workshop. You are the good dog. You're out of the bad dog situation. You can come in from the cold and rain. We know you want us to buy more models, and we're fine with that. because of this. You are now, Games Workshop, a good dog. I am patting you on the head, and this entire book has been me patting you on the head because of this, and the rest of it, of course, but because of this. You have listened. Games Workshop, Uncle GW, well done. You can combine any of these two things together, as far as I've been reading. Obviously, I will check that. Yes, unless otherwise stated, your chapter has 2 successor tactics from the following list. So you can combine any of these 2 little powers, which will probably never actually be better than these, but you can make your own. That's why they had the 2nd and the 11th Legion being empty. And this is why they've got successor chapters. So a creative person who gets into this game can absolutely create their own background, their own colour scheme, their own combination of units, and now their own powers. This is them saying, create as much as we have. Obviously, don't rip us off, don't out-create us. Please don't do that. But look, create, go wild. That is just beautiful for everything it is and everything it stands for. Games Work is now as much us as we are them. Sorry to creamed on that one, but yeah. Warlord traits. So there are lots of different elements of making up a army, and you can make it as simple or as complicated as you want, actually. But this allows someone who really wants to really spend time on their army, getting it all together. They can really look at all of this and see what fits them. Instead, don't choose the army and fit into them. Choose the army that fits with you. If you charge forward with your little men, no matter which army you've played before, if your general style is charging forward, pick something that fits you. Don't change yourself and the way you enjoy the game to fit the new hotness. Because if you're an Ultramarine player and you play like an Ultramarine, you will do well, but more importantly, you'll enjoy yourself, you'll have fun. If you actually are deep down inside a Black Templar player, you want to charge in and destroy the Xenos mutant scum, and you end up forcing yourself to fire and just stand in gun lines, you will always be forcing yourself to play. And you will make mistakes, so you will lose if you're looking at it competitively, but more importantly, you won't enjoy the hobby as much as you could have done. Pick the right jacket, the right clothes, the right attire, the right army for you. Don't choose the hotness, because the hotness will change. Here we go, Warlord traits, Vanguard, Warlord traits, all good stuff, and stratagems. And there'll be sites who will be able to give you a half-an-hour breakdown on one entry. Look at this, and this is the matter, and this is how it affects this, and then XXYZZ0110001110, and they'll talk practically in binary when you're a new player. Obviously, I do understand it, and I do argue with a lot of people on things and can discuss it all. Again, no, that's not why I set up my site, though. There are so many people who are so much better than that stuff, and or so much more interested. And again, with everything else, go with your passion. My passion isn't individually working out the numbers unless someone's really thrown down the gauntlet. Can Uncle Baldermort do it? Yes, he can. Does Uncle Baldermort do it? No, I do this for fun. Am I Nick Nanavati? God, no. And he's obviously an epic savant who plays in tournaments. Would I do okay in a tournament? I don't really know. But can I beat someone and be nasty? Yes, I can. But again, it's not why I play the game. Anyway, I get too excited. My little men run around the place and have fun. If I'm not laughing, I'm not enjoying the game. If I'm not enjoying the game, I'm wasting my time. My time in this. While everything else that is going on in everyone's lives is so serious, this should be fun. If I have to play like I would do someone at chess, with all of the little, looking at the right area of the board, putting them off, and more importantly, outthinking them and bending my entire will to doing so. That's a job. That's not a hobby. For me, this is a hobby, not a job. So, again, as I say though, there's just fantastic sites out there to watch them. I'm not going to name them all because they can change, but Yeah, I mean, there are plenty out there. As soon as you Google Warhammer 40k tactics or strategy, bang, they'll come up. So no problem there. I'm not hiding any information. There's no way of hiding it. It's all out there. But see, all of these little things I'll put in there. So these entries, oh, that's a bad example. See, that entry there, it's only got so much on it. Previously, you might have a lot more, because what they did was they took some of these special flavor pieces out and they put them into stratagem, so you can only use them so many times. So you get the flavor of the army without it being too powerful in some regards. I really like these because it gives you a choice. And it makes the entries for the actual, I mean, you think that's complicated? No way. Before, they were much, much worse. You'd have lots of little keywords at the bottom, then you'd have to look up what the rules did. Now, it just tells you what they do, and then you can apply these one-off spell-like, abilities to get something else to happen. And it's not all on the character sheet. You don't have to keep flicking backwards and forwards, way more than you even would do now. So, Genrod might. Again, they write everything in the same way. Wisdom of the ancients. Each fallen champion that rests within a Space Marine dreadnought has seen 1,000 battles and slain foes beyond counting in the name of the Emperor. Such noble services cannot help but serve as an inspiration. And basically, he gives bonuses to everyone around him. They say, God, look at him, he's goddamn hard. We feel more secure just because you're there. So, I mean, the way they write it, it's such an immersive hobby. It's absolutely fantastic. And it gives you really the flavour of what it does. So, yeah, that helps you remember what that power does as well. It's a really nice way of keying in multiple things to allow you to remember what it does. So in the middle of a battle, it's like, wait a minute, that's a dreadnought. I remember. People feel really cool around them. Oh, I have a special power that makes them feel cooler and less likely to run. Ha! See, it also gives flavour to the models. And you know, it's just a great way of doing things. Chapter relics. Because technology, bellicose bolt rifle. Never seen that one before. Oh my god, when this camera goes off, I am breathing a lot. Yeah. Special super guns and super weapons from times past, because technology is going backwards instead of forward. It just adds to the entire flavour of Warhammer 40. Psychic powers. Yeah, again, I'll be reading those through for my Crimson Fists. Litanies of battle. Oh, there's a furore going on, because obviously a lot of the guys who have different armies don't have these abilities. They're angry about that. But as I say to many of my friends who are peeved, your time will come. Your book will be released. Your hotness is hot. It's just not quite here yet. Patience, young man. It's difficult not to want the newest hotness and not to want everything that's in this book in your book. But, you know, each army has its time. In a couple of months' time, they'll release something else which will be just as good as this, with that army in mind, specifically designed around them to add to their playstyle and make it as good as this, and with this much attention and love, I very much hope. So, patience, and if not, pick up Space Marine Army, use that until your favourite army is working. If you have that kind of time, patience, and of course, lucre, filthy cash, blessings from Mammon. Points costs, which weirdly enough, even as a narrative player, I will be looking at these and comparing them to previous codices and comparing them to what's out there already, because I do play Crimson Fists, and if one of my troops or soldiers have gone up in cost, I won't be able to have as many, and if they've gone down in cost, then I'll be able to have more. So it's their way of saying that this unit is more powerful than that unit, so you can only have that many of them. And they put a point cost next to everything. So if you want to, you can really go down into details of, say, 1,000 points. And it sounds like a heck of a lot until you realise one unit is worth, say, 165 points. So, you know, it's not that bad then. Whereas on most of the actual entries, you've also got a PowerPoints. So if you just want a quick game and you haven't got long and you don't want to mess around, I don't know, you've done some overtime. You couldn't get home for an hour before dinner. You didn't have time to make a full army. You just tapped to your friend, look, mate, I haven't made a full list up. Can we just do PowerPoints? We'll do 100 points, 15 points for a repulsor tank. All right, I'll grab a repulsor tank, a drop pod and a land speeder. That is 21 points. That's a fifth of my army, and that was 2 seconds. So for quick games, everyone will sneer, but for quick games, when you really are just playing beer and pretzels, power level, when you're playing something a bit more serious, or if you're just the kind of guy who loves planning, plotting, scheming, which is just as much fun as reading the rules, playing the game, painting the models, the scheming, evil cackle is just as valid an actual pastime, element of the pastime as any other. I've got to admit, I spend a lot of time on Battle Scribe, not to win, but like a Augustus Gloop going into Mr. Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. I want it all. So I have to button it down to which army am I, which units am I actually using this time? Who's coming out to play? And I rotate them, because like any duck, I am a greedy little duck. I want to play with them all, but you can't. It's actually better to have 2 or 3 small games, or 1 medium-sized game than it is, or 2 medium-sized games than it is 1 huge game. There's nothing more gutting than spending 2 hours setting up for a game, and of course that doesn't happen unless you're playing a huge game, and then getting through to only like turn 2 or 3, whereas you could have finished 2 smaller games and got it done. Better to have 1 game and finish it, and get all of the drama out of it, then get halfway through and say, and then the camera fades down and we just declare that the Empire's won because they've got more ships. Bit cobblers. So try, if you can, which is always difficult for me. My friends always have to back me down. No, not quite so many points. I'm like, yes, you're right. Remind me next time. But if you can control yourself, it's actually much better to get 1 game done fully than it is to, or 2 games done fully than it is to play 1 huge one and get only halfway through. So just tell yourself, I can play with them all, just not all at the same time. Unless, of course, you're going to play Apocalypse, and I haven't got a book on that one yet, so I'll discuss that another time. Some more tactical objectives, they're always fun. I'll read them as well. So that is the new Codex Astartes Space Marines book, and so far, or obviously I've got to drill down into some of the numbers, etc., see how things have changed, but on face viewing and for what it is as a product, as a fan book, as a guide to models, an introduction, because a lot of people buy this as one of the first things they get in Warhammer, as an introduction, 10 out of 10. I'd say 11 out of 10 because of all the little things you haven't had before. This you could flick through and just put away, or you could open up every single page and read it, think about it, and go through it again. GW, you've knocked it out of the park. 11 out of 10. I am so impressed. But the most important thing I'm going to say is I am impressed that you have brought the right people at the right time to do this. You have the right, you're on the right pathway. You are on the right pathway here. Well done, GW. More of the same, please. Much more of the same. And Elder, you could do this for Elder. Yes, you could. You really could. Well, thank you very much, everyone. And that was my first review for any product. I hope to do some more. If anybody actually likes this kind of thing, then all I can say is thanks for spending some time with your Uncle Baldermort. And no matter what you do today, make some time for some fun. Toodaloo.